Yeah, big nasty Hall of Fame Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, baby.
This is Mike Allstott, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you're listening to the Cannon Fire Podcast.
Cannon Fire Podcast, brother.
When you hear the sound of the drum, we'll be saying, here we come. Yeah, here we come. Hey, here we come.
Check our house, man. All right, we're good. Kicking these balls.
Here we come. Yeah, here we come. Hey, here we come. Hey, here we come. Here we come.
You ain't listening, and you're missing out. Woo!
It is the Cannon Fire Podcast coming back at you for episode 71. What a great day to be a Buccaneer fan. The Buccaneers traveled out west to kick off one of the hardest road stretches in franchise history. And what did they do, Evan? They put up 55 points on the defending NFC champions. Something that you and I did not think that they were going to be able to do. We kind of talked about how the Bucs had a chance to win this game. Don't get me wrong, any given Sunday in the NFL. But I didn't think it was going to be in this magnitude. And there was a lot that transpired Sunday afternoon, and we're going to break down as much as we can here today on the show. But welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. If you're new around here, I am your host, Rhett. Joined alongside me, as always, my good buddy and co-host, Mr. Bucks Football, Evan. And Evan, like I said, a very, very good day to be a fan of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How are you doing, my friend?
Good. One question.
Okay.
What was that? I don't know what that was.
It truly...
That was probably one of the craziest, games that, I might have ever seen. Obviously I've seen, crazy games in the NFL, but,
right.
Regarding the Buccaneers, that might be, one of, the craziest ones.
Well, a franchise record, 55 points. I've been calling it the Derek Brooks special. We went to L.A., served him up the Derek Brooks special, dropped 55. And, yeah... Like you said, nothing that I ever thought I would see, especially against the LA Rams, a team that nobody can overlook, and we certainly didn't overlook them one bit, because if you listen to the game preview, we were both a little nervous about this game, and I actually ended up going out. Our buddy James, Mr. Bucks Nation, had a watch party at a Buffalo Wild Wings in the Bay Area. I met him out there. There were quite a few people out there as well, and first thing I said when I got there was man, I'm nervous. I truly don't know what to expect. And what we got was a Buccaneers win to put them back up at 500, 2-2. What a way to set the tone for this road trip, man. We don't know what it was, but it was very entertaining, and it accounts to a win. And I'll say a good team win at that, because the Buccaneers proved to me today that they can win. I will go on record and say, I think if they steamrolled New York last week, I think if 28-10 at halftime turned into 35-14, or 35-13, I don't think this win would have happened. I truly don't. But
okay, but why?
I don't know. I don't know. And I think the biggest narrative that I saw for this game was the Bucs going into this just hungry for redemption. They were pissed off that they lost the game against the Giants because everyone was pissed off.
Yeah,
you got to go in and you've got to prove yourself. And I think this team set the tone for what is going to be a Bruce Arians football team in Tampa. We say that week in and week out, but truly and honestly, Dirk Cutter's football team would not have won that game, especially after losing an embarrassing game at home to the New York Giants. It's just a different mentality, and I think these guys have finally bought in to what has to happen. Now, there were a lot of great things that happened on Sunday. There was also some things that need to be fixed and some glaring problems, and of course we'll get to those. But let's break down some of the best things to happen from Sunday's win. So much to go over. Like I said, a franchise record 55 points. That's great. You love to see it. The Rams defense...
Not going to lose many games when you score 55. I'll let you know
yeah,
right now.
Yeah, you're really not going to lose many games when you score 55. And the Rams defense, they were, I believe, top 5 headed into this game. So that was a big question mark as well, was kind of how this offense could make it work. And let me throw some stats at you, because this will answer any questions you may have had about that Bucs offense. Jameis Winston, 28 for 41, 385 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. Was a pick 6, and it did come at a fairly crucial time in the football game. And I'll be honest, Evan, when that pick 6 was thrown and Marcus Peters walked it right into the end zone, I was like, all right, the Bucs are not going to win this game. I'm hopeful.
Yep. I was with you.
I said it last week on the show. I am the eternal optimist. I love watching this team with hope.
If people would see some of our text messages back and forth during games, yeah, you people would believe that he is the one of the most optimistic fans.
You've got to be. You've got to be. I've said it before on the show. Listen, I'm not optimistic. I'm not so optimistic to lose sight of the realistic things, because yes, there were some problems in today's loss. Some glaring problems, especially on the defensive side of the ball. We'll get into those later.
Yeah. Well, being there's a difference between being optimistic and being like hopeful. Like I feel like you're a little bit optimistic, but you're also hopeful. Like you're not like a full-on optimistic person is just gonna think that the Bucs are going to win every game by 30 points, and Jameis Winston is gonna win the NFL MVP, and like there's a big difference, and obviously I'm not saying that you're not that way, because obviously if you guys go back and look at our season prediction show, which now we are over 4 on game picks.
Yeah, man. I don't think I've ever been more proud to be 0 for 4.
I mean, they're in the same exact spot you thought they'd be. Like, it just
switched the games around.
They got there. Yeah, it's just different how they got there. So they'll probably beat New Orleans, and then they'll lose to Carolina to be 3-3 at the bye week, like I predicted.
I mean, listen. Like you said, I am the eternal optimist. I try to be hopeful for this team, because I've said it on the show before. If you don't have hope, really, what do you have when you're watching Buccaneers football? Because I want to enjoy it as long as I possibly can. But Evan, my man, on the Twitterverse, you are widely regarded as someone who is not very optimistic about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's I believe in momentum. Like,
no, I get it.
There's no way that there was something that blowing that game was that you knew 21-0 was not going to hold up.
No,
you knew that wasn't going to hold up.
We had seen it. I was talking, and by the way, another person who was out at this watch party with us was Tommy. You might know him on Twitter as All Hands Galley. He's got a YouTube channel as well, All Hands Galley. But Tommy's probably one of the funnest people I've ever watched a football game with. For 2 hours, we were the loudest people in Buffalo Wild Wings, and we had a great time doing it. He actually pulled out a J.J. Watt maneuver. He was, when we were stressing, sweating, pacing back and forth, he slammed a chair on the ground, and he whacked himself in the... Listen, I know, it sounds crazy, but he whacked himself in the face with it, and he cut his nose right here. He cut the bridge of his nose and was bleeding. Boy. He wasn't gushing blood, but it reminded me of that moment when J.J. Watt runs out of the tunnel and whacks himself in his face with his helmet, and then ends up bleeding.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But anyways, aside from all of that, Tommy was a great guy to watch the game with. And we had said going into halftime, Buccaneers led Buccaneers had 28 points, and they were in a comfortable position. But I looked at him and I said, we've seen this before. I want to see how this team finishes. And we ended up seeing it. Like we keep saying, 55-40, the final score.
Well, they almost ended up.
Yeah, it It
like,
was
I mean,
very,
they got
very close.
they got outplayed. Like in the second half, there were a bunch of times when they got outplayed. Like the Rams, at halftime when you have 17 points and you end up with 40, like that's a good bit.
Yeah. Oh.
And the Buccaneers, I mean, they end up with 20, with 28 at halftime, which is the same as last week. And then, end up with 55. I mean, I didn't really predict that. A franchise record now. So basically, I wanted to share one text that you had sent me.
Okay. I'm ready for this one, I think.
It was...
I know there was a period of time that I stopped texting you because, my friend, there was a point where I was still confident that we were going to win this game, and I was not going to let your realistic outlook, because, Evan, that's what I love about you, man. You're a realist, and we need more people like you. But, like I said, if you don't have hope, you don't have anything, in my book, when I'm watching this team. I want to enjoy it.
I had hope because I was telling people, like, the Bucs were getting 10 points on a lot of betting sites in this game. I was like, pick the Bucs. Like,
yeah,
this game
even if it's a $5 buy-in, turn around and make your money.
Anyways, so I had just texted you, and I said, call me whatever you want, but nothing the Bucs have done in the past leads me to believe they won't blow this game. I think it was close to halftime.
I think it was a little after halftime.
Yeah, and then I said, I'll admit, I said, so yes, I don't think the Bucs are going to win. I texted that at 5:49. You replied at 5:52. That said, in the past, right? Basically, so, like, in the past that they won't blow this game. And I replied, it was last week.
Oh, it definitely was.
It would be different if it was, like, last year, 2 years ago. This was last week. So the fact that they went out and the offense, I think the offense was more impressive than the defense being able to, get a key, strip sack. That I semi-predicted.
Well, here's the thing.
I might get into that a little bit later. I semi-predicted that with a text to you.
Oh, no, we said it directly on the show, I believe. I think it was at the very end of...
Yeah, but it was... I said Ndamukong Suh was going to get a sack. And then I texted you at 6:56 because you said Jameis and Mike just called game. And I was like, So I said, I'm hoping my prediction comes true, and Ndamukong Suh calls game after a strip sack. So he didn't get the sack, but he got the strip and went in for the touchdown. So I'll give myself like half credit there.
On that and that was the icing on the cake for this game. That was when we knew the Bucs were going to win, was Shaq Barrett getting the strip sack and Ndamukong
be
Suh.
honest, like, you pretty much thought the Rams were going to go down and tie it, right?
Oh, I definitely thought this game was going to go into overtime. Me and James were sweating. Everybody was pacing back and forth. And when Ndamukong Suh took it and ran into the end zone, I took a lap running around. I was screaming my head off, running around this restaurant with my hands in the air because I was so happy to witness what I had just seen. And you know what? They actually clocked Ndamukong Suh at like 18.5 miles per hour.
He was pretty quick.
That big boy was moving.
I didn't think he was going to make it to the end zone.
Vita Vea was quick as well. Vita Vea caught right up. Those boys were moving. And that was probably the most exciting play of the day. And I'm sure for Ndamukong Suh, a former Ram, that was great for him as well. But overall, a good team win. And yes, there are some things in this defense that we kind of need to talk about. And then we'll talk about some other things as well. But let me toss some more statistics at you. We'll talk about the offense, and then we'll break down the defense, good and bad. So, Jameis Winston, 28 for 41, 385 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. A costly pick 6, but didn't lose us the game. Chris Godwin, 12 receptions, 172 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's on pace to have a 1,000-yard season. And
he was listed as a game-time decision with a hip injury and was told that he was going to tough it out, And what a performance.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, what a performance, but just what a showing from a guy like Chris Godwin. You really love to have guys like that on your team who can step up when needed. And it's exactly what you like to see.
There was a time, I don't understand the Rams defense. There was a time when the Buccaneers were down Brashard Perryman and Mike Evans, and they still could not cover Chris Godwin. Like, I don't know. Like, I thought the Rams defense, I mean, and they have been. Like, it's not that I thought. It's like I knew the Rams defense was better than that. Like,
yeah.
Like, you got one receiver. The other receivers on the field are Bobo Wilson, Justin Watson, Scotty Miller. Like, who's scared of those guys? Like,
Exactly.
How could they not cover Chris Godwin? And I just think, like I said, it's a heck of a performance by Godwin, but this Rams defense, man, I don't know. The Bucs offense might have turned the corner, but the Rams defense just got picked apart by this team.
Absolutely. And I mean, you weren't the only one who thought that this Rams team was going to be better than they were. I swear to God, every single commercial break that you came back from, oh, well, your TV is not broken. The Buccaneers on top of the Rams right now. I could not stand hearing that from Chris Myers and whoever the hell else was.
Chris Myers is bad. Chris
Dude,
Myers is very bad.
I don't understand. Like, sometimes when you're calling a football game, I know bias can come out, but I have never heard Chris Myers more excited for a touchdown than when Marcus Peter took it in for a pick six.
He should be a Tampa guy because
you would think,
he
right?
announces the Bucs preseason games.
You would think he'd be a Tampa guy. He's got Rondé in the booth with him most of the time. He's around Tampa culture.
He did get pretty hyped with the Mike Evans touchdown. I'll admit.
Oh yeah. Everybody was hyped, man. Mike Evans, he turned around, he walked
the little
that thing.
yeah.
Oh man, that was
Which
a thing
may
of
or may
beauty.
not have led to that interception, but
That was a thing of beauty. And
we'll
yes,
get
the
into that though. You got any more stats to throw at me? Or
yes, sir.
what?
Yes, sir. So Mike Evans, the man we just talked about, 4 receptions, 89 yards, and a touchdown. Shaq Barrett, 2 QB hits, 1 sack, 1
interception,
fumble, and 1 interception. Why does this man not have a contract with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now?
Well, he does for this year.
I know, but like, why have they not extended him? That needed to happen by halftime of the game.
Hey, you mean the game last week or this week?
No, the game this week. Absolutely, it should have happened last week, but there's no reason he shouldn't have been signed to a long-term extension. This week.
He does it all. Like,
he has
I've
shown
never
us.
seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it. He's on one of the hottest hot streaks for a
Dude, he
defensive
is
lineman I've ever seen.
He is on a tear. And, we talked about, and I notice, and I kind of like how everyone on Twitter and social media is like, yeah, I was right about Shaq Barrett being good. Nobody said he wasn't going to be good. Nobody said he wasn't going to come here and play well. Everyone is so proud that they said that Shaq Barrett's going to be a good free agent acquisition, and that's great. Be proud of your takes. I'm proud of mine when they are correct. But we knew this guy was going to be a force. Did we know he was going to be a force to this degree? Absolutely not.
The Buccaneers didn't know that. Like, there's no way through 4 games that if you told the Buccaneers, yeah, Shaq Barrett's going to have 9 sacks and a pick and a bunch of forced fumbles, and they'd be like, no, he's not. Like, and he could very well get the NFC Defensive Player of the Week again. Like,
I believe
it's very possible.
I believe 4 forced fumbles on the year is his total now.
4 games. Like, that's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. And at this point, I've kind of seen it floating around. But if you give me a choice between JPP and Shaq Barrett right now, Shaq Barrett, easy.
Shaq Barrett's 4 or 5 years younger than JPP. This isn't hard.
As much as we love JPP, and honestly, as much as I'd like to see him remain a Tampa Bay Buccaneer next year, if the Bucs have found their answer with Shaq Barrett and he can stay healthy and continue to produce, which I believe he can, then I think we are very, very set at the edge rusher position, because next to him you've got Carl Nassib, who pissed me off quite a bit, actually.
I'll get into that a little bit later, but the refs were not that great either. But
the refs were not that great either, but
we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah,
but
we'll get into that a little bit
You got
later.
any other stats to throw at me? Or?
Last stat I can throw at you. It's for the Buccaneers defense.
I think I know.
It's for the Bucs defense.
Oh, no, not what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can throw yours out here in a second, but the Bucs defense, 4 takeaways.
Yeah.
You won the turnover battle.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you've got to do to win a football game. And yes, this game was so much closer than it should have been when you're looking at the sheer numbers. Jared Goff, 3 interceptions, 4 takeaways for the Bucs defense. These guys were not dominating, but putting up ridiculous numbers. You would have thought it'd be a little bit not as close of a game, basically. But either way, a fairly solid performance from the defense. Again, there is a major flaw, and we'll get to that in a second. But what was your stat line?
Matt Gay was 9 for 9.
Yes, he was.
And including the 58-yarder that went into the net. I'm just saying.
Hey,
like, a lot of people were saying, like, on Twitter and stuff, they were like, you know, like, and that's why I really wasn't pushing a panic button, because I'm still confident enough in Matt Gay to where I believe that 34-yarder at the end of the Giants game, I believe he's going to make that more than he's going to miss it. So, like, that's why the Bucs still had confidence in him, and it paid off. Like, if you go on just emotional decisions, Matt Gay's not their kicker anymore, and he doesn't go 9 for 9. So, he's fine.
Bring back Cairo Santos, and he misses 2 of those.
Cairo Santos is in Tennessee. Can't you do that?
No, yeah, that's very, very true. I forgot about that part. But yes, Matt Gay, and it's very, very important for him as a rookie. Keep that in mind. I'm not saying that as a kicker he's allowed to have games like last week, but as a rookie kicker, I can kind of accept them, especially when they don't lose them the game, but that one did, so it's harder to get over. But the most important part of it is the way that he did bounce back this week, because that shows that he's kind of got his confidence back, and all he had to do was change his fucking cleats.
Just not wear the neon cleats. That's all you had to do.
Just not wear the neon cleats.
Man, Rhett said a bad word there.
I actually let that one slip. I'm still in game mode here. But yeah, I'll maybe I'll go back and like bleep that one out. Who knows? But
explicit sign next to the podcast.
Yeah,
tonight.
I'll end up doing that one. But a great day for Matt Gay, and you love to see it from him because, like you said, I'm confident in this kid, and I think we're going to have a kicker. I think we do have a kicker. I think he's just got to get.
Fine.
Yeah,
he's fine.
He's fine is basically what we're trying to say. So we've talked about the good. Let's talk about some of the things that jumped out. And some of the things that have to be fixed, because there are quite a few things on this defense. Well, maybe not quite a few, but there are some things on this defense in particular that have to be fixed. And I don't want to equate it all to the secondary, because there's bits and pieces here and there. The secondary is definitely one of the biggest things that you look at. But I almost want to relate it to Todd Bowles and his obsession with calling blitzes. Because,
my God.
Because, they're great, but the Buccaneers blitzed a lot against LA.
I swear, there was a time where it was like almost like, I was like, stop. Like, stop.
You know,
honestly, like, your secondary isn't that great, and you're putting them on an island every time you blitz. Like, just stop.
Right. Well, and that's the big thing, is you put those guys on an island, you make them vulnerable when you blitz. But some of the things that we had seen were some safety blitzes, and those were the definition of hit or miss. Jordan Whitehead, he had 2 of those where he was sent right up the gut, into the gap. He got to the quarterback, didn't make the sack, but 2 of those...
Got the deflection.
2 of those, he put his hand up, got the deflection on the football. But the one that he didn't hit home and he didn't deflect the football, it was a touchdown.
Which one?
Oh, God.
There's so many touchdowns, it's hard to remember.
Right, and that's the big thing about this game. There's so much going on, so much scoring. I don't remember exactly when it was, but I remember watching it happen. Because we were talking
I'll
about.
Go back and look.
Yeah, you'll go back and take a look. You'll find the one I'm talking about. But there was a lot of that situation where you blitz a guy, and everybody else is left wide open, and you give up big chunks of yardage in crucial times of the football game, and that's, I think, what ultimately led the Rams to getting back into this game.
Yeah. Well, I'm still gonna be on a stance that the Bucs defense is going to be hurt until they get a true number 1 cornerback. Like, I'm more focused on like trenches, like build the defensive line can make up for a bad secondary. Well, this defensive line was okay today, but they just still, like, MJ Stewart was bad. Carlton Davis just looked disinterested
MJ
at times.
Stewart had one big pass breakup.
Yeah.
But aside from that, he was not looking very good in the slot.
Vernon Hargreaves was okay. Like, he didn't get targeted as much as those 2. So, like, when you're not getting targeted, I mean, it's a good thing. So,
yeah.
I mean, he was okay. He allowed a few, but I still just think they need a number 1 corner. And no, that's not Jalen Ramsey, but
A guy we had brought up before, a name tossed around. If you're looking at names to bring in this coming off season,
I'm not talking about mid-season guys. Like that's not going to happen.
Right, the Bucs are not going to make a huge signing to get a number one corner during the season. But at the end of the season, when you have over $65 million plus in cap space, maybe you can look into bringing a guy like Xavier Rhodes to Tampa.
Or Patrick Peterson. Yeah.
Or Patrick Peterson, depending on where he's at.
According to, J.C. Cornell, who's pretty plugged in, Bruce Arians had thought about bringing in Peterson. He didn't, call Arizona or make an offer, but, that was something he had talked to Jason Light about. He wanted, that's something he might have, he wanted to think about. And he brought it up, and they decided that maybe Arizona's price was too high at the time. But, Peterson would be a great fit. Bruce Arians loves him, Todd Bowles loves him, and he'd be their number one corner, and it'd be a really good fit.
Absolutely, and that's the biggest thing that I took away from today, is that if this team had a competent secondary, because I'll say the first two games they looked okay, they looked fairly solid.
Oh yeah, they look good.
They were going up against Jimmy Garoppolo and Cam Newton, who we now know is a shell of his former self. So I mean,
but then when they go up against Danny Dimes, baby.
Oh man. I'm still mad. I actually got into a screaming match with a coworker of mine today at work. There's this new guy. I don't remember his name, but we're walking by. We're talking about something, and then I remember I casually asked him, I'm like, "Are you a football fan?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, go Giants, baby." And I was like, "Oh, dude, F off." I just didn't want to talk about it, and then I ended up talking about it because some other guy butted in and was like, "Man, I think Tampa could really be a contender if they got rid of that quarterback they have. He's just not the answer, man." And I'm like, okay. I shouldn't have gotten myself as worked up as I did, but it was game day. I was feeling passionate. I was getting my head in the game, getting ready for LA, and I had to spit some knowledge about our quarterback.
There you go.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. But yeah, this secondary needs some help, and I think it'd be nice to see Todd Bowles drop these guys back into coverage every now and again. You know what I'm saying?
Well, this one, out of the first four games, this is probably the most the best offense they're gonna face. So
yeah,
that's some hope. That's the one glimmer of hope I think people can have for the secondary, is that this is probably the best offense they're gonna face. I mean, New Orleans is good right now, but with Drew Brees out, they take a little bit of a step back.
Yeah.
Carolina is hit or miss every week. Today, they weren't that great. Yes, last week they were good. It all depends. You don't even know who's going to be a starting quarterback for that game. But then, the Rams, they got Jared Goff and Todd Gurley and Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp and Brandon Cooks.
And we saw, I think, a guy who picked us apart the most today at the receiver position was Robert Woods. I felt I saw him. I felt like I saw him more than any other Rams receiver. But
I swear, let me look up his line, because I didn't see his stat line. I knew Cooper Kupp was quiet in the first half, and then sort of came alive in the second half. And Brandon Cooks was fairly quiet all game.
Yeah, Brandon Cooks was fairly quiet all game. And while you're looking for the stat for Robert Woods, let me throw out a stat to kind of talk about this team and defending the run, because that's something else we talked about, was the Rams coming in with Todd Gurley, a very high-profile running back. On defense, the team held the Rams to just 28 yards on the ground. And this just proves that the run defense the Bucs have is elite.
Well,
there's really no other way for it.
I don't know, because they only ran the ball 11 times.
They did. Don't get me wrong, but I saw
Jared Goff threw the football 68 times today.
He did, and he threw, and that's one of the biggest reasons he threw for over 500 yards.
Yeah, everybody's going to look at that and be like, "Oh my God, he threw for over 500 yards." Probably 30 of it was in garbage time, and when you throw the ball 68 times and complete 45 passes, yeah, I think you're going to. Your average yards was 7.6.
Well, then let me say this about the Rams offense and the way that they treated the run today. I kind of saw something similar we've seen with Tampa Bay in years past, where after running the ball 11 times, they're like, "Damn, this isn't working," and they gave up on it. And
but the Rams didn't even really do that. They came out throwing, just throwing the ball, and then there was one drive where it was the Levante David interception. They ran the ball 2 times, and it got 4 yards, and then on 3rd and 6, Jared Goff throws that pick. Yeah. Anyways, Robert Woods had an absolute monster of a game. 13 receptions for 164 yards, no touchdowns. Cooper Kupp, 9 receptions for 121 yards and 1 touchdown. Brandon Cooks, who's their other main receiver, 6 receptions, 71 yards, so a decent day. And they did better as the game went on, but at first they struggled to cover tight end Gerald Everett.
Yeah, they were using him to abuse us.
He had 5 receptions for 44 yards and a touchdown. So Todd Gurley had 16 yards, 5 attempts, but he had 2 touchdowns. He had 2 rushing touchdowns.
He did,
so,
and
it's a good fantasy day, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, the one touchdown that he did have was exactly the run that I had talked about on the preview, where he'll just kind of show up, he'll run through 2 people and pick up a first down, but in this case it was a touchdown, and he just showed up and he just exploded right up the middle and ran somebody over to get into the end zone, and that's Todd Gurley. He's not going to do that every snap like he did his MVP caliber season, but he's still Todd Gurley, and I still think overall, even though we saw much less of a run game from LA, yes, only 11 attempts, Bucs still did a good job, and I think the run defense did their job. I think they did all that we could have asked of them.
LA, that's the reason LA didn't run, because they knew Tampa Bay is good at stopping the run.
Oh yeah,
and they're gonna have to be good again because Alvin Kamara's coming up next, and you got to stop him. And he has been a killer for the Bucs.
Alvin Kamara is probably, I think overall he's my favorite, well, not favorite to go up against, but my best running back in the NFL, and that's including Saquon Barkley. Best.
Is he better than? Oh no.
I won't say that he's head and shoulders better than Saquon Barkley, but dude, Alvin Kamara is even more of a dual threat than McCaffrey is.
Whoa.
Yeah? So what's your take? Where do you rank these guys? Rank Kamara, McCaffrey, and Barkley.
Okay, Barkley, McCaffrey, Kamara. That's easy. That's easy for me. I think Kamara is better than Ezekiel Elliott. I think Kamara is probably the 3rd best running back in the NFL.
And listen, when I say best, I didn't exactly mean number 1.
The Bucs play all 3 within, weeks 2 to 6. They play all 3. So.
Well, I'll tell you this: into this rough road game stretch, the Bucs still have some great running backs they have to play. That's the common theme of what's going to be going on. They just got to keep doing what they've been doing.
After their bye week, Derrick Henry. Then week 9, Seahawks, not too bad. Chris Carson, he's decent. But then David Johnson, who can kill you if you let him. Then Kamara again. And Devonta Freeman, who has killed the Bucs in the past.
Who has yet to show up this season.
Well, and then Leonard Fournette, who's having a very good year.
Ran for 220 yards today.
Yeah, he ran for 190 yards in the second half.
Dude. Leonard Fournette, a guy who everyone dismissed as a bust about this time a year ago. I mean, of course, you got to be consistent, and you got to have games like that. Not regularly, because that's 200 freaking yards, but you know what I'm saying. He's got to get more consistent, but a great day for him.
Well, anyways, but yeah, Bucs run defense is good. Pass defense needs a lot of work. Jordan Whitehead I thought was good. Mike Edwards I thought was decent for safeties wise. One thing now, let's touch on Carl Nassib. So there was, for people who don't know, there was a 4th and 1 on when the Rams were looking, I believe, to tie it. It was 48-40. And Nassib just jumps, and you can hear him. The mic's picked it up. He said, "That's a false start." And it turns out that they called encroachment and just gave the Rams a free first down. If you look at the replay,
the lineman moved.
The refs just missed the call. They just completely missed the call. Nassib was right, but he should react a better way. Instead of jumping right away, next time he should just stand up and point. Just stand up and just yell and point and try to get so much attention, and they will call it. They'll call it. But the ref never saw it, and all they had to go on was Nassib just jumping right across and making contact with the lineman, and that's why they called it. So,
well, let's be fair. At this point in the game, and I mean, I can't speak for Carl Nassib. I don't know how he was feeling, but I know that if I was a player in Nassib's shoes, I know the way that I'd be feeling. At this point in the game, how many BS calls did the Buccaneers have against them on defense?
I can't
roughing the passer.
Yeah, there was a few roughing the passer ones that were kind of bad.
Kind of bad.
I mean, they missed a ton of holds. I swear to God, the Rams held Shaq Barrett on 60% of the plays.
Yeah.
Like, they missed a ton of holds. I understand you can call holding on any play if you actually want to. But, I mean, there was some. Like, and there was one, I forget if it was on the Rams one. It was on the Rams, but I forget if it was the Rams defense or offense. It grabbed this dude, like, by the throat. Like, I think it was on the Rams defense. I think they grabbed Ali Marpet or something like by the throat, and I was like, man, I was like, there's no call there. So refs are bad. They're always going to be bad. You just got to deal with it.
You know, I actually learned a new rule today in the NFL, and I didn't know that you could get a penalty for it. I honestly did not. Roughing the long snapper. I didn't know that was a thing.
And I had it explained to me actually afterwards. I was like, because I saw Samar Ali on Twitter is like a graphic designer dude. He has his own podcast. Check it out. He's a good dude. And he said, you know, like how is a long snapper considered a defenseless player if he's allowed to block defenders? And not Chris Myers, Johnston, I forget his first name, Daryl Johnson. He explained it and basically said that on the broadcast, like the fact that the long snapper had his head still down, that marks a defenseless player. If he has his head up, then he's good and he can block. But since Nacho made contact when he had his head down, that was the reason he called it.
Made contact. He blew his ass up, man.
Well, speaking of blowing somebody up, Donovan Smith nearly decapitated Marcus Peters.
He's probably going to get fined before the end of the week.
He's definitely going to get fined. Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't throw the flag. That was helmet to helmet, and
he got away with that one.
And at first, I honestly forgot that Peters had gotten hit like that. And 5 minutes later, they're like, "Oh, Marcus Peters out of the game." I was like, "This dude got burnt by Mike Evans, came back, picked 6, and then just left." I was like, "What the heck?" And then I remembered. I was like, "Oh, that's right." Like I was like, Donovan Smith hit him. Anyways, there was one other. I think the running into the fair catch interference.
Yeah,
that was kind of late.
I don't remember the player, but he screwed up and
Sean Murphy Bunting ran into him.
He stepped on his foot though.
Yeah, but I don't know. The fair catch was late, and Murphy Bunting's already so close. I took it out. I was like, if I was a return man, I'd do that every time. I would fair catch late, and when you run into me, I'd get 15 extra yards. I don't know. I don't really like that rule. I don't know. It was strange, but what about this game was normal? The first half was kind of normal. Well, it really wasn't because the Buccaneers were blowing out an NFC contender. But none of this game was normal. I'm just gonna say that. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Nothing in this game was normal.
Well, we'll find out next week just how normal it is. Got a division game against the New Orleans Saints. If the Bucs can take control first half, not saying that they will, but if they can, then that just proves that this Bucs team might be the real deal. You give us a competent secondary, we'll be a scary team. But
I'd wait till the bye week. These next 2 games are going to be big, because they're division games, and if you win both of these, you take full control of the division, and you are 4-2 at the bye week. So no reason if you're 4-2 at the bye week and beat both teams decent wins, you don't have to blow them out, but you beat both teams not by a fluke or a call that kind of shouldn't have been or something like that. If you feel like you earned the win, I think a lot of fans are gonna be in on this team.
Absolutely.
And it would be well earned, but gotta do it first. So we'll see.
And that's a big thing. Back-to-back division games, a lot of weight in those games, but you got a chance to beat New Orleans and set the tone for that second game with them.
I can't even remember last time Bucs won 3 straight games.
Well, I remember the freaking
5-game win streak in 2016.
That's probably the last time
they won 3 straight games.
Just about to bring that up, and one of the big heroes of that 5-game win streak, Keith Tandy. We here at CFP had an interview with Keith Tandy a little while ago.
Good
so if you haven't,
Ooh.
if you haven't checked that out, make sure you do. It's here on our YouTube channel and anywhere you're listening. So a lot of people don't know that because we didn't have too many people listening to the show when we had Keith Tandy on, but it was a great conversation that we had with him, so go check that out. I think it's episode 41 or 34.
Yeah, and guys,
something
that was
like
in like January, just to show you how far the show's grown. That was in like January. So, let's stop being sidetracked and let's get back to the game.
Stop talking about ourselves here. It's not about us.
Stop gloating. And yeah, let's get back to the craziness of this game. So, like, before the game, you said you were nervous.
Oh yeah.
When did you start to become confident?
I did.
Like, at what point were you like, yeah? Because you seemed to be texting me like you were pretty confident.
Well, it was one of those things where in the back of my mind, yes, I want to believe that this team can put it together and they can win. But there's still, when watching a game, especially like this one, there's still a huge chance and a huge possibility that they can just blow this lead because we saw it last week.
Yeah.
It's because of the secondary, but we saw it last week, and it's the same thing every single time when it happens. You get a quarterback, he gets hot, gets big chunk gains, they get down the field, they score a touchdown when they need to, and then the offense for the Bucs stalls out, and then it's game over. We see it time and time again.
And this is horrible to complain about. Like, this is, kind of dumb to even complain about. But one of my biggest gripes with the Bucs offense was they scored too quick. Like,
what?
They did. Like, okay, when I'm talking about taking control of a game, taking a drive 6 minutes and scoring, that is taking full control of a game. When when that long ball to Mike Evans went, that was the second play of that drive. They had the ball for 30 seconds.
Okay.
And the Rams just went down in 2 minutes and scored again. That's why I was like, this game's not going to end until somebody has a long drive. Like, it was either going to end when the Bucs got a turnover on defense or the Bucs offense had a long drive and scored a touchdown. They almost scored a touchdown on a long drive, and we'll actually get to that probably next. Which I have a few problems with the way that whole thing was managed.
Yeah.
But, and then, what else happened? The Buccaneers got a turnover, and that was the difference. That and iced the game. So that's what was going to happen. Now, I'm not actually, sitting here angry that they scored too quick, because I was like, man, that took 30 seconds. The other one, I was like, man, if you can take it into the fourth quarter and score a touchdown, that's great. He scored a touchdown the first play of the fourth quarter, took 5 seconds. I was like, okay, good. If you're still scoring touchdowns, I don't really care, but, can you, just save me a little bit of stress, and just take time. I guess I don't know.
I kind of get what you mean, because what this game turned into.
If they had a 5-6 minute drive and that ended with a Mike Evans touchdown instead of that long ball, the game's over.
Right, you leave a lot less time on the clock, and the Rams, a team who was able to move the ball on offense today, they can get down there fairly quickly. So I totally get what you mean, but at the end of the day, franchise record, bro.
I'm not actually sitting here complaining. When you score 55 points, it's hard to complain about the offense. It really is.
Yeah.
Even though technically they scored 48, but
it is what it is. But let's talk about one more thing, and then we'll kind of break down that one drive you were a little upset with. We haven't really talked about the running game today. And
Ronald Jones,
dude. He got robbed of a 100-yard game. Peyton Barber came out. He was really getting the majority of the snaps first half. Well, first quarter. Got the first touchdown. Yes, he sure did. But he just wasn't really producing the way that you wanted to. He was getting eaten alive by that Rams defensive line. And, that's what his job was. His job was to go out there, put his shoulders down, hit people, and let Ronald Jones clean up the mess, which is exactly what we had hoped for. Ronald Jones, 19 attempts, 70 yards. 3.7 yards per carry average, 1 touchdown, and then 1 reception. And like I said, he was robbed of a 100-yard game because he had 2 huge runs. One
for 25 and 1 for 50.
Huge runs. The biggest runs of his NFL career were brought back because of stupid penalties.
And so some of them I thought were kind of ticky-tack, but...
There was one with the O.J. Howard holding.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. I don't understand. You even saw B.A. If one of my favorite things to do on game day is to watch B.A.'s reaction and, read his lips. You know what I'm saying? I love it, dude. He was hawking spit. He was mad. But I'll say this. He's been drinking his water. Preseason, when he was getting that mad, he was getting beat mad, he was turning beet red. But he looked cool, calm, and collected even when he was screaming his head off. And so
in the preseason, I was like concerned for that guy's health is a concern with Bruce Arians. Like it is. Like,
absolutely.
He's been in the hospital a lot. Like it's happened. So like when you see him on the sidelines during a preseason game, yelling and just his face turning just like looks like Clifford.
Right.
I'm like, oh my God, like this guy's gonna die right on the sidelines.
He looks like the logo on the flag when he got that angry. But yeah, he did. While he was getting angry today, he did look a little better. Kept his composure.
The Bruce Arians health update, guys.
Right, yeah. So if something happens, next man up. So I'm sure we have a second string head coach hiding around there somewhere. But he's drinking his water. He was getting mad, and he wasn't beet red. So you love to see that from your head ball coach.
The O.J. Howard, that was... And they also called on Bobo Wilson. I thought it was more on Bobo Wilson than O.J. Howard, even though I think both were... Like, if you didn't call him, it would have been fine.
Right.
Like, if you didn't call him, you would have been just fine.
So let's talk about that drive that you were concerned with.
This team... They're still relying on the run game too much to me. They're running the ball on first down still a whole lot, and I don't like it.
A ton.
And I got flack for that on Twitter. I was like, they're running the ball a lot on first down and going nowhere. And they're like, dude, why you always gotta say negative things? I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I can't say a thing.
I was talking to Tommy, and he had said... he's like, oh, well, BA said that you got to run on first down and set up the pass on second down to maybe run on third down if you have to. And I get it, but when it gets to the point where it's the most predictable thing you're doing on offense, teams are sniffing that out quick, and it's not going anywhere. So I do agree with you.
You know what else makes me angry? When you run constantly inside the 5-yard line. Like, what are you doing? Like, first down. The Buccaneers after what? Okay, go ahead.
Are you talking about
going a little spiel here? So.
Are you talking about in the red zone or in your own 5-yard line?
I'm talking I'm talking about in the red zone. You're about to score.
Okay, I mean, to be fair, I think you've got to come with a variety of looks. I think for a lot of people, they can say
they don't.
They don't, but I think a lot of people have said, oh, well, all the Bucs have to do is start passing in the red zone to fix their offense and score some points. And sure, maybe half of that's true, but we saw it in the Philly-Green Bay game. If all you do is pass in the end zone, sometimes it's not going to work.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I totally get where you're coming from, but there is a fine line and there's a balance.
So on that drive, let me see. That was a scoring drive, so I might have to.
Was it the 3-point drive? The point they had.
It was the one where Matt Gay kicked the field goal. It was the one that Matt Gay had kicked the field goal.
And the Bucs had an opportunity if they scored a touchdown on that drive. It pretty much would have been game over, but they had to take 3 points, and it was something we saw last week as well.
It was 11 plays, 72 yards, 5 minutes. Perfect drive, like literally a perfect drive. You were, milking clock. Ronald Jones had a great 24-yard run, which was a fantastic run.
Dude, he
absolutely
was
fantastic.
There was a point, if it's the one I'm thinking of, there was a point where I almost thought he was going to go out of bounds. He had a blocker in front of him, and he just bounced back inside like it was nothing, and he picked up an extra 5-10 yards. It was beautiful.
So that was fine, right? Like they did that. That was fine. And then they got to the LA 6-yard line after that. After that run, they went to the 6-yard line.
Okay.
From there, they put Peyton Barber in and ran straight up the middle.
And didn't get anywhere.
Negative 1 yard, okay? And running it on first down, I still have a problem with it, but right there, whatever. The next play, I have an even bigger problem with because that is freaking stupid. They run a toss play with Ronald Jones, and it loses 3 yards. I'm like, am I watching Dirk Cotter? Like, what was that? Like, I don't understand that. Now I understand you didn't want LA to be able to have more clock because that running the ball allowed them to take their time out and left them with less.
Yeah.
And then the next play on the LA 10-yard line, after you lost 4 yards, just because of running the ball, you lost 4 yards. Because the Rams are just, that's what they're going to stop. They're going to want to stop that. You were forced to throw a quick screen to Dario Gambale that gained 7 yards, and Matt Gay was able to hit the chip shot field goal. But, like, man, the play calling, like, inside the 10-yard line, once they get inside the 10, it's got to be better. Like,
Yeah. And I'll say overall, the red zone offense, I think they looked a little better. I think they finally found a way.
I mean, they've been all right.
I think they've gotten better than what we had seen before, where you were
They
just
scored
leaving.
They scored 2 red zone. No, 3 red zone touchdowns. 2 Godwin ones, and then 4. Yeah, 2 Godwin ones, Peyton Barber, and Ronald Jones one, and then the Mike Evans long bomb was obviously whatever.
I mean, I think they looked solid for what we could have asked for. Of course, there is room for improvement, especially when it comes to play calling. But 2 things that I took away from what you said. One that you mentioned was timeouts. Bucs did a much better job of managing their timeouts this week.
Yeah, that was actually good point. I forgot about that. Like,
and I mean, I'm
that
sure
was a good time management.
Being in the lead the whole game can help you manage your timeouts a little better.
Yeah.
But either way, the Rams were in a situation where they were down to their last timeout.
Yeah, I just thought about that. Rams never led. Interesting.
Yeah, Rams never led the football game. Buccaneers bend but don't break, and they bent quite a bit.
Oh, God, they were bending like a straw. Like one of them bendy straws, Like
right,
yeah.
But at the end of the day, they got the job done, and again, final score 55-40, and Ndamukong Suh, the icing on the cake, scoop and score to the house. God, that was great to see. I know we already talked about it, but I keep thinking about it.
Shaq Barrett he put that spin move on that tackle, and that tackle could do nothing about it. Just nothing.
And let's talk about some other things that this team did fairly okay. Oh, another thing that I took away from...
See, like we said, guys, lots of things to go over. Like, Rhett's like, let's talk about this. Oh, there's this. Like, this game just had, like, so much stuff.
It was really... When you have a game that you score this much...
Both teams, like...
Yeah. A ridiculous amount of points. 95 total points. There's a lot to talk about, and I'm sure we're missing some things, but we're doing as much as we can off the dome to try and talk about the highlights of the game. But we had talked about the time management, and another thing as well. God, I honestly think I forgot.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I was on a roll.
It's late. It's 10:45 right now.
To be fair, yes, it is late. It's been a very, very exhausting game. Very exhausting day from start to finish. But regardless, Buccaneers win. And Victory Monday, baby. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, gonna have to. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's first Victory Monday of the year, actually, because technically the Buccaneers had a Victory Friday, so it's actually their first Victory Monday. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just obviously they're not going to score 55 like probably ever again this season. That was a franchise record. They're not going to. I would highly doubt they're going to score 55 points again this season.
There you go, being all negative again, Evan.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm the worst. I just am. Yeah, I know. But, like, if this offense can continue to produce, like, they're going to, it seems like the defense is almost regressing, and that's very concerning. I did point out, though, like, they faced a good offense this week, and they were able to do enough. And honestly, the turnovers were the difference. But if this defense can continue to force turnovers, the offense can continue to limit turnovers, and the offense can be efficient. I mean, they were still efficient on third down. If they can continue to be that efficient on third down, they might have something here, and they might go on a little run here that can catapult them into first place in the NFC South and have them feeling good 4-2 at the bye week. I mean, that'd be huge. I can't stress that enough how big that is. I don't know if the Buccaneers recently have ever been 2 games over 500 at the bye week.
Right.
And now's the time. Atlanta has just looked awful. Dirt cutter, but
Drew Brees, you're missing Drew Brees
in
New Orleans for a little while.
Drew Brees is going to be out till like week 8, week 9. Cam Newton, you don't know. Cam Newton, they don't know on a week-to-week basis. They don't know who their quarterback's going to be. So, like, yeah, they got a good win at Houston today. I didn't think they were going to win, but whatever. Like, I don't think Carolina's that great. But
either way,
if you're gonna make noise in the division, or at least finish second in the division this year, this is the year to do it. Like, if you finish third or even fourth, like, that's bad. Like, maybe not third, but definitely fourth, because the Falcons, man, Falcons are 1-3 right now. I'm not sure who they have next week, but they're 1-3, and you'll probably, I think, end up splitting with them. As I predicted with every division opponent, but
I think
might
we sweep
change
Carolina.
for the Panthers game. Might change for the Panthers game. I'm not sure. I'm doing it on a week-to-week basis, man. Like, I'm really not sure. Like, the Saints game, I had a predicted score in mind before this Rams game.
Yeah,
it might be a little bit higher now for both teams. I'm not going to give any clues. Just wait till Friday when the prediction comes out. But it's. It was a big win, but I mean, they are. I think it's a big win, but people need to remember that the Buccaneers, where they are at right now, are where people actually thought they were going to be anyway. 2-2. Like, you thought they were going to be 1-1. You got all hype after the Carolina game, and it was like, okay, this is a turning point. And then you lose to the Giants, and you're like, oh my god, this team is the worst team ever. And then, like, literally, people were saying, "Okay, season's done."
well, that's people.
Now,
that's not.
now
I don't think that's you or I.
What's up?
I said, yeah, but that's people, and that's just.
But that's not even me. Like,
that's people.
I am apparently like the worst person ever to talk about the Bucs, and I didn't even say that because that's just stupid.
In the Buccaneers fan base, we make fun of a lot of the Buccaneers fan base a lot. So I'm sure
they're ruthless.
I'm sure
are ruthless to each other, man.
It's pretty bad. I won't
Especially
lie. I love
after a loss, you better stay away from Twitter. Oh my god.
I love everybody. I don't have any issues with anyone in the Buccaneers fandom. You can have an opinion. You're allowed to have whatever opinion you want, even if it's wrong.
Not according to some people. According to some people, you are not.
yeah, really. But it is pretty brutal to watch sometimes, and there are some pretty hilarious takes that we see week in and week out.
I mean, just based on what you described, brutal to watch, hilarious takes. It sounds like you're describing a Bucs game, but,
right?
Yeah. So big test in New Orleans, and like I said, if they drop both games in New Orleans and Carolina, this win does not matter because they are 2-4 and in the bye week, and you just lost 2 division games. And yeah, you're going to be sitting at 3rd or 4th place in the division, and you're going to have to dig yourself out. So you got to build it week to week, and time to Bruce Arians keeps saying stack up W's. Just time to stack up W's. And before we end this here, which is going to be coming in the next few minutes, I did want to send my condolences to the Light family.
Yeah.
For the passing of Jason Light's father last night. The abrupt passing of Jason Light's father, Jason Light, GM of the Buccaneers. He was with the team in LA, Jason, and was informed that his father, had died, and he had flew back to Nebraska and was in Nebraska with his family today. And the Buccaneers even said, Mike Evans said he wanted to really honor his general manager today, the guy who gave him a shot. Mike Evans was Jason Light's first-ever draft pick, and I think the Buccaneers honored him pretty good today by winning the football game. And like I said, just want to send my condolences to Jason Light and the entire Light family.
Absolutely. We here at CFP, just like Evan said, send our condolences to the Light family. But a great showing by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and really going out and representing for their general manager in this time of sorrow, unfortunately. But I do have one more thing that I do want to touch on before we get out of here. And we talked about on the preview show, 3 of our 5 points on the checklist were block Aaron Donald.
Oh, checklist.
And I'd say,
my goodness, Alex Kappa, hello.
I would say Aaron Donald was fairly quiet today, and you
Aaron
love
Donald
to see
looked
that.
like a probably above average defensive lineman, not the beast like he is,
right?
But probably an above average.
I think Brock showed up more than him.
There was a few plays I was like, okay, like Aaron Donald got the best one there, but
Yeah.
There's only 3 plays I can think of where he actually made an impact. The Bucs did an absolutely fantastic job.
Yeah.
And even like pass rushers, Michael Brockers, Dante Fowler, like the Bucs offensive line doesn't get enough credit for this win. I mean, they did a fantastic job of protecting Jameis Winston.
And that's a big thing about this unit. We keep saying it, but it's probably the most improved part of this football team is just this offensive line unit. And if I can remember correctly, other than the O.J. Howard holding penalty on the offensive line, I don't think they had any penalties today, did they?
I had to go back and check, but I'm really not sure. I don't think so. A lot of the Bucs penalties were on defense, so I really don't think so.
I want to say they didn't, and if they didn't, then that's fantastic, because one of the biggest things that we had said was this team, this offensive line, has just got to clean themselves up penalty-wise. And yes, there were a few that were preventable today, but we kind of broke most of those down. But big kudos to the offensive line. They have been doing a great job and really looking to carry the momentum and keep those guys healthy, because Ryan Jensen, another name on that list that was kind of a game day decision thing.
So good.
Yeah, he's having a great year. He has cleaned himself up, and like I said on Twitter, he's my favorite guy to watch on that offensive line. But ladies and gentlemen, that's just about going to do it for this episode of the Cannon Fire Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching with video if it was on YouTube or BucsReport.com, or listening on any of our podcast-hosted sites or apps. Just thanks for tuning in. You can follow the show on social media. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Cannon Fire Podcast on pretty much all of those. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Retticus, RHETTAKUS. You can follow my co-host, Evan, Mr. Bucks Football, on Instagram and Twitter at BucksWave. And big shout out to our sponsors, Pinecrest Printing and Signs. Do you need an image for your business? Well, Pinecrest Printing and Signs has got you covered in more ways than one. They've been providing the Tampa Bay business community with quality commercial printing and design since 2001. Their printing professionals are ready to provide you with quality marketing solutions for today's industry. Vehicle wraps, wide format, banners like this one over my shoulder, the beautiful donated banner for CFP. Anything you need to enhance your image, these guys are on it. Give them a call at 813-684-5444, or you can check out the website at pinecrestprinting.com. Buccaneers win a very, very crucial game to kick off one of the toughest road stretches in franchise history. 55-40, excuse me. The final score. And we'll be back with you guys Thursday, previewing everything you need to know about the New Orleans Saints game. I am Rhett, signing off for Evan, and we'll catch you next time. Go Bucs!